The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Investigative journalist Dr. Jerome Corsi is here. You read him at WorldNet Daily and redalert.wnd.com, and he's got another website out there, too. Where's the Birth Certificate is his book. Dr. Corsi, welcome back to the Rusty Humphrey Show, sir. How are you?
I'm great, Rusty. Good to be back with you. Thank you.
You got that new website. What is it? I forgot.
JeromeCorsi.com. It's 1776nation.com.
That's right. And you guys, what are you doing there now? What's new and exciting, and why should people go there?
Oh, well, it's been posting my articles on the birth certificate. That's been the main focus of it. It's been the main focus of my life for about the last 3 months, Rusty. After I published the book, the White House made such an effort to try to kill the book, but it became, Where's the Birth Certificate became a New York Times bestseller, and we're going to put out an electronic edition to it in WorldNet Daily here by the end of September. And we've just about got all the copies we printed sold out, so it was a huge success.
All right, but let's talk about it for a second, because I'm in Honolulu, and I know Dr. Orly Taitz is going to be here next week to try to look at that birth certificate again. But according to the media and Barack Obama, this story is dead as a doornail. It's over. He gave the birth certificate. Why are you still working on this thing?
Well, the birth certificate that the White House produced on April 27th is a forgery. It's fraudulent. It's a forgery. And we're able to demonstrate that. We've had a lot of experts come on in WorldNet Daily, write articles. I think it's an obvious forgery. And it's clearly, if forgery was produced, and I believe the White House did that, in order for Barack Obama to stay in the White House, that's a crime. That's a felony. And as this gets investigated, Barack Obama's got between now and November 2012, and his presidency depends on the legitimacy of that birth document. If it's a forgery, and it can be proven to be a forgery to the satisfaction of the American public, it's hard to see how Barack Obama will remain in the White House.
All right, now, from what I've heard is you believe it's a bad forgery. Is that correct, or do you think it's a good one?
No, it's a bad forgery. It was sloppy. Whoever put it together really was not expert at using the Adobe software to know how to eliminate the traces that the file had been modified and manipulated. The experts have been very systematically figuring out how it was put together. And the arguments, I think, are very convincing that it was put together from maybe two existing birth certificates, the Nordyke twins' birth certificate. They were born the day after Barack Obama was born, and their birth certificates have been available on the Internet since about 2009. And the characteristics of the Nordyke birth certificate map very closely into what's in the Obama birth certificate. It looks like it was a cut-and-paste job.
All right, now, if I'm Barack Obama, the most powerful man in the world, and I need a birth certificate, if you're correct that he needs one, I don't know about you, but I'd try to hire somebody that knew what they were doing.
Well, Rusty, you can't have the White House put out a request for a proposal or a classified ad saying, forger needed, criminal record, no disqualification from employment, should be good in Adobe software. You can't look for them broadly. You're stuck to the small group of trusted associates who will go so far as to commit a crime on your behalf. And just for a common sense here approach to it, Rusty, if Obama had really been trying to fess up to the American people and tell the truth, any court of law would say that the best evidence, the best document, and a court standard of the best evidence of the document is the original document itself, still under lock and key in the vault in the Hawaii Department of Health. This is why Orly Taitz is getting a subpoena, is going to Honolulu, because all Barack Obama had to do is say, look, it's really my birth certificate. I'm going to release the original document. I'm going to let a group of independent forensic experts come in and court certify it that it's original and authentic. He didn't do that. He released an electronic PDF file the White House did of the birth certificate and some Xerox copies. And forensic experts will tell you, they can't make a judgment on that document. We've been getting Adobe experts to look at it. But court-certified forensic experts would demand to see the original, and Barack Obama is not letting anybody see the original if it exists.
All right, Dr. Jerome Corsi is here. He's the author of the book, Where's the Birth Certificate? JeromeCorsi.com is his website, as is WorldNet Daily, WND.com, and RedAlert.WND.com. Now, Dr. Orly Taitz is going to be here in Honolulu. We just talked about that. Do you think she's going to make any progress? Do you think they're actually going to say, okay, we'll finally open up the vaults. Come on in, Orly.
Well, the likelihood, Rusty, of course, is they're going to stonewall Orly, and they're going to try to stonewall Orly. I know some additional legal help in Hawaii, some very professional legal help, is coming to work with Orly. Some firms in Hawaii that are established firms and been there for a long time, prominent people running them. So Orly's not going to be alone. And if the Hawaii Department of Health thinks that they're going to just say to Orly, go away, and it's going to put an end to it, it's not. If she needs to go get the subpoena perfected into a court order, or she needs to go and, after they've refused to honor the subpoena at the Hawaii Department of Health, if Orly decides she's going to go and press contempt of court charges, she's going to have some good backup as legal representation to assist her in Hawaii that the Hawaii courts are going to have a hard time dismissing.
But hasn't this case gone pretty high up? Didn't it go to the Supreme Court or something close to that?
Well, the Obama eligibility cases have been to the Supreme Court a number of times. Rusty, the problem has been the Supreme Court really does not want to look at political cases. There's a political doctrine, political cases doctrine in the Supreme Court that if the case is going to throw someone out of office or really settle who is in office, the court's very reluctant to take the case. I mean, look at what happened in the Florida case in 2000 when the court intervened and George W. Bush won the election. The Democrats are still saying that George W. Bush was selected, not elected, and the court didn't really help itself. It wasn't positive for the court to have to make that decision. I'm sure the courts are going to do everything they can to avoid getting in the Obama eligibility case, but a subpoena is different than asking the court to make a decision on eligibility. A subpoena, I think, has a much better chance of succeeding to see the original document.
Now, and Dr. Jerome Corsi is here. Now, you're one of those guys that it's easy to try to attack because you're investigating. You go where no one else has gone before. One of the biggest books that you wrote was the Swift Boat book. You exposed John Kerry, and you were attacked. And one of the ways you were attacked is this guy came out, Wade Sanders, came out, and as a matter of fact, came out and was one of the guys that introduced John Kerry to the nation at the Democratic Convention. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And tell me about the latest information on Wade Sanders, Dr. Corsi. Not that there's anything big to this guy's story.
Well, Wade Sanders is now in prison for child pornography. And, this is a major offense. He's got something like 37 months jail time. Federal.
Wait. Hold on a second. John Kerry's most vocal, enthusiastic Swift Boat supporter is in prison now for porn.
Correct.
Okay, just check. I want to make sure I heard that correct.
And the Navy stripped him of a Silver Star.
Now, why they did that for the child porn, right?
No, it was independent. Sanders was Assistant Secretary of the Navy, and evidently in 1992 he used political influence to get himself a Silver Star.
Huh. Now that doesn't sound anything like John Kerry did it. Right.
I mean, and again, I've asked the Navy Department if they're going to now investigate Kerry, because if Sanders lied to get a Silver Star, Kerry, well, of course, the Department of Navy doesn't want to go there. But I think you've got a real, this guy Sanders was all over everything. Sanders was out there saying that the Swift Boat veterans, my book that I co-authored with John O'Neill, the Unfit for Command, that this was a pack of lies that was worthy of Goebbels, and that we were all Nazi propagandists. I mean, this Wayne Sanders was there in your face defending Kerry in the 2004 presidential election, and now it turns out he's a child pornographer.
Dr. Jerome Corsi here on the Rusty Humphrey Show. Doctor, could you hold on for a couple of minutes, or do you got to take off?
I'll be happy to hold on.
All right, I got to take a quick break. Dr. Jerome Corsi, author of the book, Where's the Birth Certificate? I want to talk a little bit more about what's going on with the birth certificate. I'm in Hawaii. Is there anything that I can do to help with the investigation? I don't know. We'll find out. Dr. Jerome Corsi is here. His website is jeromecorsi.com. It's also at WND.com and redalert.WND.com. Dr. Corsi, welcome back.
Yeah.
You were here in Honolulu recently doing some investigations on the Obama birth certificate, weren't you?
I was there in Hawaii. In fact, even a week just before the book was published. The book was out May 17th. I did one final week of research in Hawaii just before the book came out.
I'm here. Is there anything that anybody can do? Can I help in any way?
Yes, I think you can. First of all, I think it'd be very good, very interesting for you to be present on Monday, this coming Monday, when Orly Taitz at 10 o'clock is going to be 10 o'clock local Hawaii time, is going to be presenting to the Hawaii Department of Health her subpoena. And it'd be very good to have a reporter like yourself there, someone who could view what was going on, maybe even record if there was any discussion, if you could record it. It'd be great to feature it on your show as a first-hand report, eyewitness there at the scene.
Okay, that's not a bad idea. There's only one big problem with that.
What's that?
Can't I have one day of vacation? Come on. I'm on vacation.
I was in Hawaii. It rained every day I was there. I do think, though, it's beautiful when it rains in Hawaii. I love watching those storms roll in.
It's raining. Rained earlier this morning, and as I was coming into the radio station, the sun was rising, and there was a rainbow.
Yes, it's beautiful. There's no question Hawaii is a magnificent place. I really enjoy it every time I've been out there. And I spent a lot of time in Hawaii. Even when I was working in banking, we had many banks that were our clients who were out in Hawaii, and I spent a lot of time there in the 1980s. But, the point is, I think the Hawaii government, as you get to know it, is like a little club, and they get used to the mainlanders coming over, and mainlanders ask some questions, then they all go away. So Hawaii realizes they don't have to take Orly Taitz too seriously because she's going to be gone.
Right.
And that's part of the problem. It's why I think a part of the strategy, well, World Net Daily has advised, and now I think is coming into place, is to get some local representation from firms that are very well known and politically connected in Hawaii, and these firms aren't going away.
But as I understand, didn't they make it illegal? Didn't they pass a law saying that you can't ask for the birth certificate and you can't get the birth certificate?
Oh, they passed all these laws in Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii could yet pass a law and destroy the birth certificate if it exists. I mean, this Hawaii government. Remember, Rusty, Hawaii gave a birth certificate to the Chinese nationalist leader Sun Yat-sen. It was in the 40s, 50s, was a big figure in communist China. And
why would they do? Why would they do that?
Well, because Hawaii is very lax. If the family comes in and testifies, or if they're witnesses who testify they saw the baby born, that's good enough for Hawaii. You get a Hawaii birth certificate. And so the fact that Hawaii is saying something exists, that's why it's very important to see what exists, because it may be what I think for the grandparents coming in and filling out forms and saying the baby was born in Hawaii, even if the baby was born in Kenya.
Now this is where the Rick Maddows of MSNBC and all those other people who. Rachel. All those people. This is where they say, 1961, the grandparents knew this kid was going to be president of the United States, so they forged the birth certificate so he'd be president.
Well, that's all pretty silly when they argue that, because the truth is, in any year, in fact, I have a 1955 a report that was done in one of the Hawaii health journals by Charles Bennett, who created the Hawaii. He was the superintendent of health. He created the Hawaii Vital Record System, and he said, look, every parent wants their child to be an American citizen. Hawaii was preparing to become a state. So he said, we have to get our vital record system up to par with the U.S. Census system, because everybody's going to want to register their children as Hawaiian citizens and U.S. citizens at birth, and go back and retroactively make sure they are listed as that, if they've never done that in the islands.
Right. It's just silly to suggest that anybody thought,
grandparents or anybody knew the child was going to be a president. If you're a U.S. citizen, you don't have to register with the Immigration Naturalization Service. You get, a birth certificate that lets you go into the schools and play Little League. You get to have a driver's license. You get to have a passport. The advantages to being an American citizen are huge, and every parent would want their child to be an American citizen if at all possible.
Dr. Jerome Corsi here. I'm almost out of time. Very quickly, Doctor, you're also an economist. Looks to me like we're going into a double dip recession, maybe even a triple dip recession. What's your take on that?
Well, I think it's for certain we're in a double dip recession. There's no doubt about that at all. Look at the housing market. It's not coming back. And they keep lying with the unemployment numbers. I think we're even in for worse, Rusty, because I think we're about to get downgraded by one of the major rating agencies. And when I think that happens, when the downgrade occurs, it's never happened in the history of the United States. And it's going to affect every American. It's disgraceful that it should occur, and Barack Obama's got to be held responsible, spending trillions of dollars, not achieving anything in terms of economic growth or stimulation, blaming everybody else. He's blaming the Arab Spring, and might as well blame some basketball team or something. But he never takes any responsibility for the failure of his policies. And this is going to be catastrophic. I'll also make another prediction. I believe that within a very short period of time, you're going to see a challenger to Obama emerge in the Democratic primary, and he is going to have a primary challenge.
And are you looking at a he or a she? I'm looking at Hillary.
I think Hillary could well make the move. If Hillary doesn't, someone else will. And underneath it all, Barack Obama knows how vulnerable he is. You know, a guilty conscience. In the White House, they're following what I'm writing and what we're proving. And Barack Obama's just waiting for the day when I've got the document that shows he was born in Kenya. Or we have the proof that is absolutely where the American people say, oh, yes, this is a forged document. Any day, as the Democratic Party really want to go into the 2012 election with a candidate, Barack Obama, whose father was Kenyan, was a dual citizen at birth, may have forged a birth certificate, and knows, in fact, that he's running and lying in order to stay ahead of the investigation that WorldNet Daily and I are conducting with Where's the Birth Certificate.
And the truth is, forged birth certificate aside, he's still not eligible because of a father that was not a citizen.
And, in fact, John McCain, who was born in the Panama Canal Zone, did submit his birth credentials. I cover this very extensively in Where's the Birth Certificate. And the Senate said he had two parents, John McCain, who were born in the United States, and because he was born in the Panama Canal Zone with his family supporting the military, in the military, his father was at the naval base at Panama Canal, that the founders never meant that to be a disqualification. The usual requirements are two American parents, U.S. citizens, when you're born, and born in the United States. Well, Barack Obama did not submit his birth credentials to Congress. He knew he did not have two U.S. citizen parents at birth, and he could not meet the requirements that the Senate set for John McCain.
His name is Dr. Jerome Corsi, one of the great investigative journalists of our time. His book is called Where's the Birth Certificate? You can also go to the website, jeromecorsi.com or WND.com or redalert.WND.com. Dr. Corsi, thank you so much for being on the Rusty Humphrey Show. I sure appreciate it.
Rusty, always a great honor and pleasure, and enjoy Hawaii while you're out there. Try to get a few minutes in the sun.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.